Hey, welcome back to How to Gain Muscle from Macro WOD. I'm Peter, and in today's lesson, we will be talking about how not to get fat while you're gaining muscle. So today's lesson is entitled, You Won't Get Fat, How to Wrap Your Head Around Mass Gaining. So the lesson objective for today is to describe the general aims of a mass gain phase and how it factors into your long-term goals. Okay, so we're going to try to wrap your head around why you should do this, why you should specifically seek to gain muscle, and to try to knock out some of the fears that you might have about doing this or some of the hesitancies you might have, because I can understand the number one, which is you don't want to get fat. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so why gain muscle? So let's talk about specifically why. You know, if you're a dude, you just want to get as big as usually want to get as big as possible. If you're a lady, you might be a little more hesitant about putting on muscle, but the reasons in the context of CrossFit are the exact same. So the first thing is that it will increase your performance on both weightlifting and body weight movements. So most people can understand that. So especially for weightlifting, a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. That is a very, very basic concept. The bigger a muscle is, the more force it can generate. So it will definitely help out. Putting a more muscle mass will definitely help out your weightlifting movements. A lot of people think, though, that it will not help your body weight movements like pull-ups or sit-ups or toes to bar. And that is not true, because we are specifically looking to gain muscle, and that will, again, help you generate more force on those particular movements. So the overall goal is going to be to gain muscle while minimizing fat gain, and we'll talk more about that. From an aesthetic standpoint, that's another big reason to gain muscle. You've been around, if you're doing this, you've been around CrossFit long enough to see the body types, and those body types appeal to you. More muscle, for dudes, it's a no-brainer. For women, it will help improve your aesthetics. If you are going for a certain leanness in terms of look, gaining more muscle will actually help you look leaner. I know that, again, that's kind of counterintuitive, but at a given body fat percentage, the more muscular you are at that same percentage, the leaner you will look. Now, what do I mean by that? So imagine that you make your bed, okay, and you pull the sheet really tight over the top so it's nice and smooth. So I want you to pretend like that's the skin on your body, okay, that sheet pulled tight. So when you gain muscle, you increase the stuff that's underneath of the sheet and underneath of your skin, okay? So what that would look like is if you stuck a brick or a bunch of bricks underneath the sheet, and they poke up and they poke out from the sheet. So same thing. So the more muscle you gain on your legs and your arms and your shoulders, the leaner you will look at the same body fat, because the muscle is sticking out and creating the appearance of more definition. I'll actually post some links to some pictures below this video so that you can see what I'm talking about. So wrap your head around that. And then getting directly back to body fat percentage, if you gain muscle, your body fat percentage goes down. So when you think about how do I get my body fat percentage down, most people think, I should just cut. I should just lose body fat to get my body fat percentage down. Well, the flip side of that is by changing the other number, which is your total amount of muscle, and driving your muscle up will drive your fat percentage down. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Will you gain body fat by doing this, by seeking to gain muscle? And the answer is yes. Okay, I need you to get comfortable with that right now. I will tell you things to help you get more comfortable with that, but we are not doing lean gains. We are not doing body recomposition. That's the question that usually comes up. Most people are worried about destroying anything that they earned while they were on a cut, blowing up, getting fat. We are not going to be doing that. A lot of that comes from just unlimited eating. I've done the seafood diet before. We just eat everything in sight, and that is definitely a way to gain muscle and to get bigger. But we're not doing that. Okay, we're doing more of a controlled mass gain. Okay, so to that extent, so yeah, because can you just slowly gain muscle and not gain any body fat? The answer is sort of yes, but it only really works if you haven't been training very long, if your training age is very young. You'll hear this referred to a lot as like body recomposition, gaining muscle while losing fat or keeping fat the same. I don't like doing that because it's really dicey, again, depending on your training age. And it can also just take a hugely long amount of time. And we'll talk about that in another lesson about how long you want to do this. But we're trying to do this as quickly as possible while minimizing unwanted effects. So we're trying to gain a desired amount of muscle as quickly as we can while minimizing body fat. We have other things to do in our lives, whether it's getting back to cutting or just training in general to maximize our performance. So the way that we'll be approaching it is I would rather you gain muscle and then we can do a cut to take the fat back off as opposed to not gaining any muscle at all, because then we're really just wasting our time. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand the general aims of this. So we're going to be looking to increase performance through greater muscle size, increasing aesthetic appeal and aesthetic look, again by adding muscle and increasing, looking leaner. When you do strip that body fat back off, again, if you have more muscle and then you start stripping the body fat off, you will look leaner than if you had less muscle because your definition will be greater. So those are the biggest things that I want to impart today. I hope that helps you wrap your head around this mass gain and allays some of your fears. If you have any questions, please let me know and I can address them. And I hope you look forward to the next lesson where we will talk about the specifics of how to plan out your mass gain.